Hey everyone, welcome to JoJo's World.
Good Francais to you too.
We can't do this.
We can't do any of this, but we can do all of it.
I
We
was
can do anything we
berating
want.
Nick earlier this morning. I'm Liam S. Smith, one of your co-hosts.
And Valentine, the other one, the co-host.
I was berating Nick earlier this morning for how aggressively his brain doesn't contain any French.
Okay, so I swear I've said this on the pod before. My final score in high school French, I think in year 11, was...
Oh, you did like French.
Well...
Because we had to do mandatory French up to like year 9.
Oh, maybe it was year 10, maybe. Because in Australia at the time, it went up until year 10, they kind of pick them
French
for
or
you.
Indonesian, it was
Yeah.
at our school.
And then year 11 and 12 was like, okay, now you have to pick what you want to do.
And obviously,
like,
instead of
what?
choosing, the language of our closest neighbours or anything like that.
Or like big superpowers, etc. French.
One of the more declined of the declined empires of the recent history.
Yeah. I got on my final exam 4%.
4%.
Now
That
you
would
can
be
imagine
1 point, essentially.
that is less than a fifth. It is less than a tenth. It is in fact less than 1/20th. So you can imagine.
Yeah, I wasn't asking for how percentages work. I was asking for how many points you got.
It was less than 1/20th of whatever the final score was because I literally couldn't read the numbers because I went, duh.
Like, they have the same numbers.
No, but I mean like. I don't know how much it was. I just saw like...
Except for when
it was
they
in
get
words.
like 99 or anything like that.
Fucking, I don't know what that number is, man. What's the one that's like, it's 888888, but it's like...
99, I think, is
12.
49 or...
99 would be...
No, 59.
Sure.
I
I'll
think.
believe it.
At one point within there, I feel like it's around 80 where it kicks in, but like 80 becomes like 60-20 or something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, literally it's like when you get to 8888...
I didn't do well in high school French either, but I did better than you.
But now you're playing this French game, so you're a master
Claire
of it.
Obscure Expedition 33, I'm near the end. I'm not going to talk about it this week, I did it enough last time.
Yeah. But you know what? I have accidentally...
Hold that thought.
Okay.
This is, of course, JoJo's World, our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast, where today we are talking about episodes 53 and 54 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, the final 2 episodes we are watching for the foreseeable future.
Oh God, it's
The
so
end
good.
of the
an hero.
JoJo's World Galactic Tour.
But not forever.
For now.
Well, for now, yeah. But we may just watch it in our own time.
Yeah, but sorry, I cut you off.
Yes. So I accidentally, because as you know, our patrons are near and dear to my heart. You know this. You love this. We're all
We
about them.
love our patrons.
We love our
We
patrons.
love all of our patrons.
We insult
and
them
we're
on the regular.
in their wills.
We are in their wills and also in their debts. Possibly as the collectors. But I have accidentally, perhaps, gone a step too far by saying that people who drink whiskey with water might not be the best people.
Were we talking about this on the pod?
We were.
Okay.
So S Parks has messaged me and said publicly now that he is one of those people that drinks whiskey and water. They are one of those people that drinks whiskey and water. And then immediately said, I could justify it to you, but clearly you lack the sophistication needed to enjoy such a treat, you boob. And then in brackets, haha, obviously a joke, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, goddamn.
Well, Nick, it sounds like you've been owned online.
I've just...
What's your recourse? What would you do as a Legend of Galactic Heroes commander in this situation?
Well, this desk has a drawer, so can you just open it up real quick? and
I
I'll see
had
it.
a realistic toy revolver in this drawer for years, and I would just fiddle with it and spin the mechanism. Like, it must have been released before they put out that law that they had to have the orange caps on the end.
I was going to say, before they put out the law of
I should clarify, it was a pop gun.
Oh, like one of those black-looking...
No, it had a black plastic handle, but then the rest of it was metal. And it had like a functional revolver action.
Oh my
And
God,
it was just really good to play with, but I lost it at some point.
You were allowed this in Australia?
Yeah, I don't know why. But
That's insane!
it was just a really... Look, we can all agree that a revolver is a beautiful mechanism used for evil.
Can we all agree on that? I feel like a revolver...
It's a marvel of engineering.
Well, yeah, I mean, that much is true.
It's got satisfying actions.
Oh, like Claire Obscure Expedition 33 has satisfying actions to pick from because you can use them and be like, oh, I've got a synergy of, this element to this element. Okay, he is literally having a stroke.
Not what I'm talking about.
Liam is having a stroke.
Yeah, that's right, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Just like Walter Islands in Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And Andrew Falk and 5 other guys off screen.
Absolutely. We also got a bunch of messages from Strike 3 regarding the fact that there's a Netflix CGI anime Gundam Requiem for Revenge, which shows what it's like for Zaku pilots who aren't Char facing a Gundam unit. It's a horror show.
Zaku is like, I fell off on my Gundam watch because I started watching Netflix One Piece.
For some insane reason.
But I believe from my brief time watching Gundam, Zaku's were like the generic enemy mook mech.
Right, okay.
But Char Aznavour drives a red one that is cooler.
Gotcha. And then there's some stuff about prototypes.
Is it Requiem for Revenge or Requiem for a Vengeance? Because I've heard that title somewhere.
It's Requiem for Revenge, but you do you. You know, I'm here accepting how you say words.
Requiem for Revengeance.
God knows I have called things the wrong name a number of times and then gone, no, but it's
look,
cool.
I'm going to level with you, listener.
Don't say it. Don't you dare.
We were this close to doing a Gundam for our next show, but we're not.
Oh, but boy, the next
Because
show's
I
going to
want
be good.
a change. I'll lay it out all at the end of the episode. But I want to change from the hard sci-fi we've been doing recently
to slightly less hard sci-fi.
But I've got a vision and a path that takes us towards Steel Ball Run, and our next show is part of that.
Okay.
Even though I haven't seen it. More on that later. You can probably guess what it is now if you've been paying attention.
But we don't know when Steel Ball Run is coming.
No, but I have the vision.
You have the board.
Yeah, much like...
Wait, is that what that is?
The Emperor of Mankind. I have a vision that will get us where we need to go.
I can just picture the God King Emperor of Man sitting upon his golden throne, hovering before him a corkboard.
Much like Dio Brando, I've got the ambition to do what needs to be done for our own advancement.
The revolver in one hand.
Oh, wow, I wish I still had that revolver.
Ever since you watched this show, now you're just like, God, anytime I feel embarrassed, I wish I had that revolver.
Yeah.
It amazes me that it was legal, because I would have thought it'd be like...
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be, as far as I can tell from my understanding of that law.
Wow. And we're admitting this on the podcast that's going to be publicly available.
That's right. Come at me.
No, don't say that, no. But now you've lost
the come at me doctrine.
If any police show up to this house, they're
allowed to come at me, but if I can defeat them, then they're not.
Yeah. But you don't own any AR-15s, so...
No, well, obviously I had to use all of my AR-15s up on the 30 to 40 feral hogs that were attacking my children.
Yeah, which is a natural part of the world. Yeah.
It's just society. 30, 40 feral hogs, because I invoked the come at me doctrine and they wanted to arrest me. Boom!
Yeah, this makes sense.
What are we talking about?
Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh, so you weren't driving anywhere else?
Why would I drive?
With the Patreon stuff?
Oh, no, that was it. Just those two.
Thanks for messaging us.
Fucking folks. Love these messages.
We love it. We love it when we have active listeners who are nice to us.
Yeah, they are actually genuinely fantastic.
I long since stopped reading the iTunes reviews. Didn't see any bad ones, but why would I expose myself to that?
Exactly. Why would you take negative vibes when you can take Patreon vibes? Immaculate, precious Patreon vibes.
And the blue sky as well.
That's true. You can, you deal with the hard reality of the public. I deal with the gate-kept community.
I deal with the people with posters madness.
Wait, but you're one of those people.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Nick.
Yes.
Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
The final two we're going to watch.
53 and 54. A Sudden Change and Long Live the Emperor, or whatever it was called.
What was it? Sig Kaiser? Is that the
Long
little
Live the
subtitle?
Kaiser, I think.
Yeah.
Hail the Kaiser.
Powerful apps.
Not where I expected it to go in the micro details, but broadly where I expected to end up. For you to see.
I see or you see?
For you see.
For you
Oh yeah,
see.
One Piece. I'm watching One Piece now on Netflix.
Why are you watching all of One Piece?
Because it's there. I was watching Gundam, but Gundam 0079 is not on a streaming service I have access to, so I was watching it on the Internet Archive on my PC, and that wasn't convenient watching. Right. For which I have to say, I'm aware of the One Piece editing project. Don't tell me to watch it. I'm not going to. The only reason I'm watching One Piece is because it is there on Netflix.
So two things. One, you're aware that the equivalent of Dragon Ball Kai is happening for One Piece, and have instead chosen to go with the one you have access to right now, even though it's like 1,000 episodes longer.
But also, I'm interested in seeing those choices that they've made and why they've done it.
What does that mean?
So, famously, the One Piece anime gets incredibly bad pacing.
Correct.
I think when I started watching, it felt like it was like 1 to 2 chapters per episode.
Yeah, possibly even less.
And if you remember JoJo's, we cover usually 5 to 8 chapters per episode in that.
Yeah.
Point of comparison.
Sometimes 12.
No.
Never.
Never 12. Sometimes 13, but never 12.
How dare you?
What was the question?
Why One Piece? Why? Why are you watching it all?
Well, I liked it as a kid, and I wanted to revisit it, and I'm curious to see, with my adult eyes and my aspirations of caring about literature and media,
Because this is the year.
why those decisions have been made, how they're represented.
Yeah, because this is the year where you
Become
did say.
more annoying than ever.
Yeah, so is this part of it?
Yeah.
Does this feed into it?
Exactly.
Okay, alright. So, why... Okay, but what... Like...
There's this guy. Nick, I could ask you why you decided to watch all of Naruto.
Well, I'm not watching all of Naruto. I've got a watch list that skips certain episodes.
Well, I'm skipping the filler arcs.
Oh, okay. So you're doing what I'm doing with Naruto, but you're doing it with One Piece.
I suppose so.
Right, okay. Well, that's more acceptable.
I'm not, like, starting and stopping mid-episode like you are, because I'm not insane.
It's part of the it tells me to do that. That's what it says. I have to follow
and that's more effort than I want to apply.
So you're just going to be like, oh, I know it's a filler episode, but I don't want to just skip to 20 minutes in to get the last 1 minute.
I'll just skip that episode.
See, but you're missing that 1 minute.
I don't need it.
No, you need it.
Not
It's
the kind of
plot
life I'm
important.
living.
Oh, Liam, if you were doing this Naruto watch list, you'd be in dire
So there's this guy.
straits. Okay.
I would be in dire straits. I would be Mark Knopfler.
Who's Mark Knopfler?
There's this guy.
Okay.
Monkey D. Luffy.
Oh, Gum Guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, hang on. I'm just about to do that bit that I did from recounting that baseball game a few weeks ago.
Go on.
Monkey D. Luffy wants to be king of the pirates.
And is he... What, are you meant to relate to him since he's become this superhuman entity pirate man? Or...
Do you want to rephrase that
As a
in
child...
a less stupid way?
As a child, am I on his side?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he cool?
He's a Goku.
Okay, so he's got his eye on the prize.
He's a himbo who knows
what he wants.
And what he wants is to be king of the pirates and to eat a lot of meat and to fight cool, strong people.
That makes sense. That all makes sense to me. Okay. So why aren't we watching One Piece?
Because it's 1 billion episodes long.
This does make sense.
And when the Patreon can support both of us having full-time Patreon salaries, then we will record 1 episode of One Piece every day.
For a second, I thought you could say One episode of One Piece every year, and I'd be like, that seems like we could achieve that. Yeah, sure. We would be 1,000 years old. But it's the right pacing, it's the right pacing for that kind of media. Because you watch one episode, you're like, I don't know, maybe this will last, and then it will last your entire life.
Yeah, it's been going for pretty much as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, that terrifies me as a concept. Yeah.
Let it end. I would simply have written a shorter story. That was Ichiro Oda.
I've seen Oda's house.
Why?
In a video.
Okay.
Where he was doing an interview, because I think that's his manga studio, is his house.
Makes sense.
And it's just covered in merchandise. Like, every single wall, every
This is probably his
shelf.
decoy house.
Oh, it's his merch house. Yeah. But it's like, everywhere you look, it's like, oh yeah, here's like a teapot. It's actually got Sanji's leg, and that's where the tea comes out, and the other leg is the handle. And I was like, how much merch can we make of One Piece? And I thought, it's infinite. It's just infinite. So you're watching One Piece.
I'm watching Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
What are we doing?
I had nothing else to say on it.
Oh, okay, all right. You want people to know that you're watching it.
Yeah, they need to know what doing this show has done to me, ultimately.
You're like, I've watched
I
so much
remember
anime.
when I started, I was like, we're doing the JoJo's thing, I don't watch any other anime.
Yeah, you were vehemently against watching anime, and now look at you.
Now look at me.
Sad
See how far
old-
I've fallen.
A sad old husk awaiting death, and the only thing that can fill your empty
It'd be
heart.
so nice to go to sleep forever.
But you can't find the damn revolver.
Nick,
Yes.
these 2 episodes.
53 and 54.
We open, and we're not getting into the full recap yet, I'm giving the general overview,
Of course.
with a drastic twist from where we seemed to be heading last time, as all of a sudden the imminently victorious Yang fleet receives an order for full and immediate surrender.
What?
The rest of the episode sees the various characters grappling with whether or not to obey that decision, ultimately doing it.
Yep.
And then in the subsequent episode, Reinhardt consolidating his power, finally meeting face-to-face with Yang Wenli and becoming Emperor of Space.
Yep. He's seized the universe, more or less.
And Yang and his team send mercats and a ragtag group of 11,000 men to
Sherwood Forest.
do guerrilla tactics, Robin Hood style, for the future of democracy.
Yeah, the quote-unquote alliance is dead, but the alliance, wink.
And then we're setting up Earth cult villainous ascendancy stuff too.
Yeah, because they're really the ones in control.
Apparently.
Yeah, they've been playing from behind the scenes the whole time.
But we'll get to that in the recap.
And they use a lot of fire. Not electricity, just fire. Yeah. Very strange.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
First of all, what did you think of these 2 episodes?
Amazing. Flawless. Every time we watch Legend of Galactic Heroes, a piece of me is satisfied.
Yeah. I thought these were really good. As I said, it's not where I expected us to go. I am a little disappointed, and we can dwell into this in more detail when we finish our recap.
Okay.
But I'm a bit disappointed that the end of this season has set up a return to some more of the stuff in season 1 that I liked, that we've seen less of in season 2, which is the sort of exploring the broader society outside of the lines of combat.
Yeah.
We've got this guerrilla warfare set up. We've got Julian going to Earth. Season 2 really quickly...
I got taken over by strategy.
It fell into the route of, we could see the seemingly inevitable ascendance of the alliance, of the Empire over the Alliance, and just slowly trudging down that road.
Yeah.
With very little time for anything else.
Yeah, it was very much so democracy could be bad, but
was,
also weakened over time.
Less of the sort of season 1 style, not none of it, but I'd say less of the season 1 style, Yang fighting the secret police, Kiyokais going to the ancient Rome planet to do some stupid bullshit.
Yeah, the random internal stories that are like, hey, by the way, inside of our quote-unquote perfect societies that we have here, we're still fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. I get what you mean.
So, as I said, we open with Yang's flagship receiving a transmission from Earth High Command. Highness High Command.
Whoa, now hang on. They basically say unconditional surrender.
Yeah.
Just go with the ceasefire.
Yeah. Shenkop is the biggest proponent for ignoring that order, and Reinhardt's ship is right in front of them. Like, they could press one button and destroy it, essentially.
Yeah, they are
just
ready
like in
to
the
kill.
push button wars.
Oh my god, those were the bloodiest wars of all time.
We assume.
I guess. So I think
Dusty and Shenkop are furious.
Yeah, half of the staff are just like, why are we doing this?
Yang mulls his options, and then being Yang Wenli, the man who will always choose the route that results in the minimum loss of life.
And also because it's his job.
And we spend the rest of his time in these 2 episodes exploring his feelings about that decision.
Which are...
complicated.
Yeah, long, complicated, and ultimately filled with tea and water metaphors or analogies.
Dusty says, we're about to win. We've got our hands around the Empire's neck and are about to squeeze. Metal.
Fucking great. He also chucks his hat on the ground, but the hat is like a beret. So it's just like a...
Truly the Free Planets Alliance are the Frenchest army in space.
I mean, do they wear berets in any other military that you can think of?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind then.
A lot, actually.
Shit. Now that I think about it, literally one of the things in American military is the green beret?
Green beret, red beret.
One of the two,
I can imagine both.
Yeah, I'm just thinking...
I don't have aphantasia. I can imagine both colours of beret.
Whoa! Meanwhile, the Empire is also... What the fuck
Reinhardt's
do they want to do?
They were about to kill me and now they're surrendering?
Why aren't they shooting?
Disrespectful.
Come the fuck on. They had victory in their hands. Why don't they take it?
Yeah.
Which we'll explore later.
And we understand why Shenkop is so...
Yeah, because he was like, don't you get it? I defected from the Empire.
Well, I think his parents did technically, but...
Oh, yeah, true. Because they're the sons of...
It wouldn't be good for him to be reabsorbed back into the Empire. Probably status-wise, that's going to be inherently problematic.
Yeah, he might not live to see tomorrow.
Because we know that Reinhardt is not a leader that
pulls punches.
Indulges in petty vengeance much.
But
zero, but not much.
Yeah.
But, as we explore throughout this show to date and extensively these episodes, the thing about a totalitarian dictatorship is you can't guarantee what the guy who's in charge tomorrow is going to do.
Yeah. Oberstein. Fucking Oberstein.
Ruenthal.
Oh, Ruenthal.
Mittermeier?
Oh my god. Fucking
Mariendorf.
When we get up to that one bit where it's like it's 2 people monologuing back and forth for like a minute and a half from 4 different camera angles of just like, Have I done the right thing? Is he really in charge? Does he know what he should do? Does he know what she should do? Have I made a mistake?
Are you talking about when Mariendorf, Ruintal,
and Mittermeier
are all talking about whether or not to win?
Oh, so good. But we'll get there. We'll get there. So everyone on the Alliance side is sort of like, this is bullshit, except Yang, who's like, no. It's the whole...
It's what we've got to do. I'm Yang Wenli. I am the man who makes the decision that results in minimum loss of life.
Yeah.
It's been his whole thing in the show to date, really. Usually that involves him winning in some way because he's Yang the Magician. But
also I think there's a level of, if I didn't follow these orders, I'd be just as bad as a dictatorship.
Yang is nothing but a slave to duty.
Because he wants his pension.
Yeah. And also just...
But don't we all?
He believes that as a soldier in the Alliance, he has to do what the Alliance tells him to do.
Because he's a soldier.
Yeah.
In the Alliance.
He's not, as everyone seems so keen to make him out to be, the budding dictator.
He's not going to start some weird Robin Hood outfit. That's not going to happen.
He's not going to put on some tights and a green hat and run around in the woods slinging arrows.
He's not going to have this beautiful buxom bay caught up in some cruel king dungeon thing.
Cruel king dungeon?
Yeah. Hey, don't get any ideas. So everyone who is opposed is very opposed. But they eventually are like, all right, we've got to respect his authority. It's fine. Meanwhile...
We jump back in time via the narrator to figure out how this all happened.
Yeah, so if you remember last time, Mittermeier didn't show up. But that's weird.
And he's the Gale Wolf. He's always meant to be getting there first.
He's literally the fastest guy.
Yeah, he made his bones on being the fast guy.
So why wasn't he there? Well...
Hang on, it's a Nokia ringtone. What's the... as the screen wobbles and we flash back?
Are you thinking of the... I'm thinking of the Twilight Zone thing.
I'm just thinking of a general, flashback... Everything gets shimmery.
It's the what's the instrument where it's like
a theremin?
Big long rod, short rod.
Theremin.
All other rods.
Theremin.
No, theremin is the...
It's a big long rod that you put your hand near and it goes woo woo.
Yeah, but
woo,
that's
woo.
not... No, I'm talking about, there's the chimes, is it? Where it's like you brush your hand...
Like a wind chime. Or a hand chime.
Yeah, hand chime. Yeah. Where it's like
a
you
dream catcher.
That sound. Yeah. There's that sound.
The works of Stephen King. No.
The Dark Tower is actually a big wind chime metaphor.
And the tower in Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
Is it dark?
Yeah.
Can you bring light to it?
Yeah.
Stephen King brought light to the Dark Tower when he was in a car crash and thus wrote himself into the Dark Tower.
Hirohiko Araki says...
Stephen King knows how to write himself into stories. I thought that's pretty neat, but I'd never do that.
I've come up with a new character called Kashibe Rohan, who's not me at all.
I'm waiting for the Ding Dong Dash episode of Thus Spake Kashibe Rohan.
Go on.
Because you know that
he always gets in these trivial little horror games.
Yeah. Because you know that Kashibe Rohan is not Araki, but he has...
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, I forgot. The Ding Dong Dash backstory.
Yeah. But we know that at some point he did say, he's not based on me, but he is based on maybe a couple other manga artists I know.
Some, ugly Kashibe Rohan Koichi is like... do you remember he's got that really puffy face?
Ugly Kashibe Rohan
when we see Koichi and Thus Spoke Kashibe Rohan.
Oh.
Anyway, he's like,
maybe.
There's a new rumor going around town about the demon Ding Dong Dasher. And they say that if he rings your doorbell and you don't answer in 30 seconds, a monster will kill you. And then Kashibe Rohan spends the next week with his doorbell ringing every minute.
And he's just he has the discipline until one moment where he's like, I have to deal with this.
And it's him at 3 a.m. being like, I just need to sleep and work on my manga pages.
I haven't done any and it's one of the horrifying movement in the background, abstract colors, and it's him doing he's leaning over trying to concentrate desperately, image, while he's in bed thinking about it, going,
and
I haven't done anything and all I want is my manga.
24 style countdown to his deadline.
And then when he opens the door to the Ding Dong Dasher, he realizes the mistake he's made, and then the countdown changes color, maybe?
What are you talking about?
What if there's multiple countdowns?
There's the countdown to his manga deadline,
and
the countdown
to his
answer
death.
the door.
No, I mean his death. He answers the door, and he goes, wait, how long was it until the monster kills you? And then you see 20 hours until Kashibe Rohan dies. as a new countdown.
Okay, you've changed the rules of the thing I've set up. But
Well,
that's
it
fine.
doesn't matter. That's how JoJo's works, Liam. That's literally the only way the show makes sense, is if the rules constantly change.
Gold experience.
Literally half of the stands in part 5, you could probably just go, does he remember what it did?
King Crimson, gold experience.
Actually, part 6 has a few as well, I think.
Speak on that.
Wasn't there one where...
Dive her down.
No, I'm thinking, sorry, it's not part 6. It's, oh my god.
Part 5.
It's the world, because fucking Polnareff is moving down the stairs.
It makes perfect sense. He stopped time and then he picked him up and he moved him down the stairs for fun.
So funny.
He could have killed him, but he just fucked with him.
I just love that so much. But anyway, yes. So that's gonna... Okay, so my rule change is, he opens the door, he realizes, wait, I've been ding-dong dashed.
Boop.
And then he
Boop.
hears a voice that's like, you have 20 hours left, use them wisely. He's like, what? I have to make my manga.
Okay, but you see, the way that I set it up...
Yeah.
was that it was specifically about frustrating and compelling him to having to keep answer the door because it keeps ringing, and if you don't answer it, you die.
Oh, if you don't answer?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant if you do answer,
No,
you
because
die.
he can't concentrate on doing his manga because every time he sits down...
He has to... Right, so it's like a 60-second...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right, I'm with you now. But the rules have changed.
Coming soon for JoJo Raimo 2, Rowan Kishibe's Demonic Ding Dong Dash.
Oh god, if we do another JoJo Raimo, there's going to be some whack ideas this time.
I'm tempted, honestly.
Yeah.
I like this idea that we've landed on.
So now we have to do it, and that way we'll have it. So
So,
Legend of Galactic Heroes.
what happened 3 days ago?
Mittermeier.
No.
The Gale Wolf?
I mean, yes, but more importantly, Fraulein Hildegard von Mariendorf
Mariendorf?
goes to see Mittermeier
Uh-huh.
and is like, hey, Reinhard told me not to do this, but I'm coming to you to say we should go and attack Heinesen instead of going back to Vermilion Star Zone.
Because we can't make it back in time.
Yeah,
we straight up
I
can't
checked
make it
in on the... I don't know how she's getting around so quickly when no one else can. But she's like, I checked in on the battle, and it's not going well.
Yeah.
So what we should do is, instead of you turning around to go and save Reinhardt, is that you should go to Heinesen, take it over, and demand full and immediate surrender.
And Mittermeier's like, that's a pretty good idea. I'll personally go do that. Wait, hang on. Why have you got that look in your eyes? And then Mariendorf's like, you can't do it.
I think that's the opposite of how it went, actually.
I thought that she was like, you can't...
He's like, I'll do it, but I can't do it alone, or people will accuse me of having political ambitions.
That's right. Yeah. So he's like, I can't do it because I don't want to usurp Lowengraf.
Because he's nothing but a loyal boy.
Exactly. He's a Gale Wolf.
The Gale Wolf truly is a collared dog.
Yeah. The Alpha Wolf is the most loyal animal you'll ever meet.
Not how wolves work. Discredited research about wolves.
But my wolf, Alpha... I should buy a
Only
wolf.
applicable to wolves in captivity.
Ah, gotcha. So yeah, he's like, I don't want to do it alone, otherwise I'll usurp Lowengraf. That's not how I vibe, okay? I'm a loyal boy. I'm a golden retriever.
Oh, I wish I was a golden retriever.
I don't.
Don't you just wish you were a
human?
Labrador retriever that could just sleep forever?
No, you gotta go for walks. You don't get to go outside most of the time. You're just like, hate that.
They talk through all the ramifications, like, will Yang Wenli surrender? If he gets the order to stand down but doesn't, this would be the best opportunity for him yet to become a dictator.
And Mariendorf at every turn is like, no, I think this will happen.
We know, I have a shrewd understanding of people's character, so I know that Yang Wenli is not...
He's not going
to become a dictator, no matter how much the media is spinning him that way. And by the media, I mean...
the free press.
No, I mean... the physical media that we're watching Legend of Galactic Heroes on.
I see this DVD. I see a dictator.
The narrative repeatedly asserts that Yang might want to be a dictator against Yang's own wishes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, they have this conversation and then they land on, well, hang on, if Mittermeier, myself, me. If I'm not going to...
Mittermeier, as he says.
If Meaty Meyer isn't going to go... do the deed.
Meaty Meyer, of course, played
by
Buff
Mark
Austin
McGowan.
Powers.
By who?
No, played the character of... He's the actor who played Buff Austin Powers.
Oh, Buff Austin Powers.
Yeah, Meaty Meyer.
Meaty Meyer.
Mike Meyer.
This is a good one. But wouldn't it be Meeky Myers? Because he's Mike, not Mike.
It's not what we're doing here.
But we can do anything.
You need to anticipate me.
I need to be able to read your brain. I need to be able to engage in conversation, which I'll never do. Anyway, they basically land on Ruintal. Because Minamaya knows...
Because he's right over there, and they're best friends.
Literally. Wasn't it like, I haven't had him as a best friend for 11 years for no reason, or something?
Yeah.
Which is like, what a line.
He's in the neighbouring star zone, so they can get to him in time, and also they're best friends.
Yeah. He's known it for 10 years.
Even though we, with our knowledge of dramatic irony, know that Ruintal has repeatedly, monologued to himself, what if I became the Kaiser instead? Mittermeier is blissfully ignorant of that.
Heterochromia.
Duplicitousness. Basic character design symbolism.
You know the number 1 isn't curvy. That's how you know you can trust it. It's a straight line, linear, right? No twists. Number 2...
duplicitous.
What do you think that bottom bit is?
Sinister skull shape.
It's going...
We're doing number phrenology here today.
It's going one direction. It's doing a bit of a bend, but it's still technically going down that...
Number 3 is Booba.
Booba, okay.
You know, Kiki Booba?
Nope.
This is... I don't even know how this emerged. It might be an art theory thing. But the idea that across... I think it's a linguistic thing, actually.
How could anyone critique we don't stay on topic? I don't understand. This is all relevant.
This
is all relevant discussion. Kiki Booba.
This is not relevant to anything. But... I think it's a linguistic thing, actually. The idea that presenting people who speak multiple different languages, or that is to say, who speak individually different languages.
As in one person speaks one, another person speaks
not multilingual people. A swath of people who speak different languages. The words Kiki and Booba, and asking them to draw what that shape and
one's sharp and one's
Kiki
round.
is consistently conceptualized as sharp.
Yeah.
And Booba is consistently...
soft.
Yeah.
Bulbous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was like words tend to evolve because they sound like the thing that they're describing.
Truly,
vaguely.
words sound like other words.
Yeah, like I'm cool because my name is Nick, and thus I've manifested my coolness.
Nick is very kiki.
Sup. I'm sharp in the brain. Sometimes I wonder if I'm going to get early onset dementia.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah.
For you, but also for me.
Oh no. But if you get it and I get it, then
That's podcasting, baby.
Who's going to take the notes on the podcast? So...
recording the same episode of the podcast over and over forever.
So we're up to 53 and 54, yeah?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god, we're going to endless 8 ourselves.
But our listeners will be like, you already did it. You already did the endless 8. We're like, did we? I don't remember doing the endless... We'll do it again. It's fine. A catch and release attitude is very important, you see.
Yeah.
So they go to Ruintal, and they're like, yo.
And he's like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah. Now...
one of Minamaya's subordinates is like, hey, what if he harbours political ambitions of his own? And Minamaya's like, shut up. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the entire dialogue there. So, Minamaya, Mariendorf, and Ruintal
have tea together.
They have tea together over the course of 3 minutes, when actually it's about 4 sentences spoken out loud.
But, okay... So crucially, there's a few things symbolically going on in that conversation.
Yes.
The couple to note are Ruintal pointedly staring at his own reflection in his tea.
With his 2 eyes.
Yep. His odd eyes. And then another which the narrative doesn't dwell on at all. But he's like, yes, I will help you with this plan. And then he just evilly looks at the camera. Ugh.
No, he evilly looks away down.
Aside toward the camera.
Yeah. And he's just like, And it's like...
no one acknowledges it.
Yeah, and Mariendorf is having a monologue in her mind and being like, did I make the right choice? Looks up, oh, maybe it'll be okay. Looks away concerned. And it's so much is going on.
And then they get there and they do it.
And then they the alliance unconditionally surrenders.
Basically, Minamaya stacks the deck in a couple of different ways. His whole fleet pulls into Heinesen airspace and is like, hey, everyone surrender or else. Then they blow up a military installation that's preparing to launch missiles.
Good old orbital bombardment.
Based on Mariendorf's advice, he also broadcasts that if the political leaders surrender, they will be spared.
Which
works.
I mean, I guess they decide, oh, well, if we're off, scot-free, this is great.
Yeah. He says, people in power don't bat an eye when the houses of ordinary people are destroyed, but when the government buildings are destroyed, the blood drains from their faces.
Oh, man.
Mariendorf questions, are you trying not to involve ordinary civilians? And he responds, well, I myself was an ordinary civilian once. He truly is the man of the people in the Empire.
Yeah, if only Mittermeier had larger ambitions to become...
The Kaiser.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ruenthal's just in the back, like, scheming. Like, he's just looking, being all like...
How can I use this for my advantage? Oscar von Ruenthal.
It's just... I love that it started off with him being like, no, I have a bit of an ambiguous backstory. And now we're like, so he's evil, right? Like, he's going to kill everyone.
I'm kind of Machiavellian, and also I hate all women. You forgot, didn't you?
I did forget. If only his mother wasn't such a cunning bitch.
And dead.
And also kind of maybe it was just the alcoholism, maybe.
Then
and the abuse.
We are treated to the scene of the Heinesen High Council deciding to surrender.
Yes.
Job Trunick makes the call. Walter Islands stands up and puts his hands on the desk and gives a stirring speech about the nature of democracy and about how one man couldn't spit on the legacy of 2.5 centuries of democratic rule. And
to which Trunick responds, yeah, but
you're
been
corrupt
so
as
corrupt.
fuck, Walter Islands.
I actually have all the books on your little mistress and all your little getaways.
He reads out his dossier. I've got it here.
Oh, here we go.
You've got a lot of nerve, Islands. You may have forgotten this, but I remember quite well. That night, when you brought a silver vase to my house, silver vase, we should circle back to that,
yep,
and begged me for a position on the High Council. The companies from whom you've received donations and kickbacks, and how much you dipped into election funds to buy that weekend getaway. How you used public funds for a vacation with your mistress. I know all of it.
Oh my god.
Islands is like, you're right, I'm a third-rate politician. It's because of you I've been able to get this far. But I can't allow you to do this.
Trunick then does it.
Yep. And Walter Island's head explodes.
Yeah, literally, he just straight up dies.
He doesn't die. We find out later he's in hospital. But
I thought he died. No. Oh, okay.
But much like everyone in this show who is not military but gets exposed to a stressful situation,
he has a stroke.
Yeah, he has a stroke or a heart attack or some shit.
Yeah, he Andrew Forks himself.
Yeah,
it's immediate.
You don't
damage.
see this in other media. People just getting stressed
and just be like, holy fuck.
As a pattern.
Yeah.
Like, it'll happen, like, once as a big season finale, like, oh no, characters had a heart attack.
But, like...
This is just a footnote in this show.
Yeah, but this is also, like, the sheer scale of it warrants some insane shit
The only show
happening.
I've seen where multiple characters just have spontaneous health emergencies and leave the show forever.
Multiple?
As a pattern.
Oh, as in multiple people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those 3 guys in, like, the Bukok trying to defend the Alliance
because
episode.
they didn't sleep. Yep.
Walter Islands now.
Yep.
The Kaiser dying off screen of old age.
Yep. Potentially also the new Kaiser dying from
being murdered by Reinhardt.
Being shot in the head.
For being an awful child.
For having a quote-unquote medical emergency. I don't know. Yeah.
Bukok, again, also gives like a stirring...
well, if this is how democracy fails, I'm going to kill you, Trunick.
Because Trunick's like, it's Yang Wenli's fault because he destroyed the Artemis necklace to defeat the coup d'etat. And Bukok is like, well, he did that and he repeatedly warned you about the ramifications of that, but you did nothing.
You just sat there on your high horse, Trunick, waiting to get re-elected, you piece of fuck.
The Artemis necklace, Isolone Fortress, it's clear that even though these things are supposedly impregnable, it's the people behind them that matter.
And that's why I need to kill, and then people bust in with guns.
Yeah, Bukok is going to straight up murk Trunick to save the Alliance, and then both Alliance cops and Earth cult guys with guns come in.
And everyone's like, the Earth Cult?
The Earth Cult?
And then we cut away.
No, we cut away to that later. Second episode.
No, not to that. I mean, we just cut away in general.
Yeah, we're just done with the scene.
Yeah, because it's not really explained what they're doing here other than...
Well, Trunick's in bed with them.
Yeah, but it's like, they're here to just save Trunick? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Well, there you go.
There you go. There you have it. Then we transition to a scene of guys on one of the Yang fleet's ship being like, we should go see Admiral Yang and not accept the surrender. Pressure him. But then one guy is like, but I've got family back on Heinesen, and if we fight, they might kill them all. And everyone's like, shut up, you!
You're worthless to us, having family.
Anyway, it's a good scene showing like the division in the ranks, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And as they're all running out of the room to go see Yang, we instead follow Yulian going the other way, who goes and has a philosophical conversation with Walter Shenkop.
Now, see, democracy.
Democracy. I love democracy.
The Alliance.
Andor. Haven't seen it.
The Alliance and democracy. What's the guy's name? Something Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård. His voice is
I
incredible.
think there's like 4 Skarsgårds actually. There's Alexander Skarsgård.
No,
as well.
there's Bill, Alex, Stellan, and the blonde.
Pennywise.
That's Bill, I think.
No, I'm talking about the secret fifth brother, Pennywise
the secret
Skarsgård.
brother. The secret brother, Hannibal Lecter.
Skarmory. The
Skarmory
steel bird
Skarsgård.
Pokemon.
Skarmory. No, Stellan Skarsgård has the best voice. I'm just like, if
I think you'll find actually that I have the best voice, Nicholas.
Are you Stellan Skarsgård? You sit the fuck down. But like, I've been trying. So the reason I bring this up, I've been trying to do an impression of Stellan Skarsgård in my free time. Okay.
Go off, King.
Because sometimes when, you're just sitting at home and you're like, I want to play video games right now, but I can't because I have to do this chore, and then the chore gets done and you look at your clothes hanging on the clothes horse and you go, you know what I gave up? What I sacrificed for this? Everything.
Yeah, you could have been playing games in the nude that whole time.
Exactly. But Stellan Skarsgård says that in Andor, where he's like, what did I give up? Everything. But
Who does he play?
He plays like the guy that Andor's working for.
Mon Mothma.
And he himself is sort of duplicitous, quote unquote, not really that duplicitous, but he's putting on an affront of having like a shop on Coruscant while funding all these illicit activities for Andor to do. But he's got like people in places, right? He's the guy who's like
a fixer.
Yeah, he's got people in places, he wants things to happen. But every time he talks, I'm just like, man, why can't I be like Stellan Skarsgård and be like, hey, I'm Stellan Skarsgård. This is what I sound like now. I'm from Sweden. I do Swedish things like bring up rebellions and make people have strokes and stuff. But I can't do it. It's just like, it always ends up sounding like I'm just tired,
We're all tired, Nick.
God, we're all tired.
Anyway, Yulian and Shenkop have this conversation that was interesting to watch, but won't be interesting to recount. Am I wrong?
Not wrong.
About, like, the ethics of the Yang fleet attacking versus accepting the order to surrender because that would make them no better than the coup d'etat forces because they're ignoring the will of democracy and the principle that, in a democratic society, the military should ultimately be answerable to the people via the democratically elected rulers, blah, blah, blah.
It's literally that one conversation between President What's-Her-Face and Admiral Adama in Battlestar Galactica episode 1 or 2.
I can't help you with this.
Where he's all like, so What's-Her-Name is like, why don't you take over with military rule? And Adama's like, I strongly believe that if the military take over, then everyone will just be oppressed. So I'm not going to do that. And also I'm going to follow your orders. Because if I didn't follow your orders, we'd be in this situation in Legend of Galactic Heroes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just that. For several minutes.
There was an interesting moment where, Yulian is obviously unhappy in the situation like Shenkop is, but, he ultimately accepts the order to surrender because Yang is accepting it. He respects Yang, and also, he's been raised by Yang, so he's inherited his principles.
Yep.
Shenkop puts it to him that if the government then demands Yang's death as part of the concessions, would Yulian willingly obey that? And that's the line for him.
Yeah, Yulian's response is, shut up!
I have no intention of bowing to the orders of Prince Lowengram's government. I'll only accept orders from Yang Wen-Li. And he's like, Julian, I've been rude. You've grown up. And we are two cool men who respect each other. Have some whiskey.
And then he just
But
takes
don't put water in it.
Fucking, if you put water in your fucking whiskey.
I think it's only like a drop, right?
It depends. So some people will put like a full block of ice.
Because I respect our listeners, I will look up, live on air, the benefits of it.
The benefit? Well, I know it can change the taste quite dramatically if you put like a drop of water in certain whiskey.
They were pouring a lot of water into it last episode, though.
Oh, way too much water. Way too much water.
Adding water was found to boost the concentration of flavour compounds at the surface of the drink, therefore giving drinkers a much more well-rounded perception of whiskey's flavour profile and character.
Well-rounded fucking what the hell is this?
Yeah, you just want that burning sensation.
Shit, I do! Fuck! This explains why I'm an alcoholic! This is great! Yeah, no. I'm very much like, but I just want the pure taste of the whiskey.
That's good. I think there's an argument to be made of if there was meant to be more water in it, they would have put more water in it.
Yeah, pretty much. It would come like those pre-mixed cordials.
Because it's cheap to dilute things like that, right?
Yeah, and then you're like, well, it's basically the same price because it's free water. but it's more packaging, so we're going to have to up the price. And you're like, what? By how
I'm
much?
not a whiskey guy. I've owned very few bottles of whiskey in my time, so I will obviously accept the guidance of our wise listener.
Yeah. I was going to say, if in this, you know that I'm angry about this. I was going to say, if it's like the same price, but then they dilute it with water, that's like capitalism to a fucking T, isn't it? Like, god damn, what a nightmare. So anyway, Yang has this bright idea.
Yeah. He's gonna... So, they can't keep Merkatz in the fleet because he's a defector from the Empire and they worry about his life.
Yeah, if he goes back to the Empire, then they're going to be like... He's not going to get killed because Lowengram is not, evil.
He might get killed.
I'm tapping my nose, by the way. He's not evil.
He has been putting people to death.
Yeah, but if Merkatz goes back since he defected... Not a great look.
And is also an official officer of the government in exile.
Yeah, so not a great kind of, look to that.
Yeah.
So instead, Yang's like, well, instead of going back, why don't you just...
Take some ships. Take
and some
11,000 men.
And maybe just go to Sherwood Forest.
Quote, unquote.
Quote, unquote. And do a few absurd
Do some
deeds.
Robin Hood bullshit.
Yeah.
They send along, I believe, Dusty...
Shemkop?
No, Shenkop's number 2, the blonde guy who's come up a couple of times, but hasn't really had a lot of focus time in his own right.
Yeah.
And it's unclear who else, but just like a bunch of
Poplin.
Yeah.
A bunch of young go-getters who want to make a difference.
Poplin says, I have no nostalgic love for an alliance that's become a slave to the Empire. It has no charm, like a woman who's lost her self-respect.
I'll drink to that.
Poplin, it's always about the women with this guy.
Listen, he knows what he's about. What he's about? It's a beautiful
When
woman.
my best friend, Konev died... Not Konev, what was his name?
Muffins? I don't know.
That's right.
His fucking... it was like a really boring name, wasn't it?
Is it for a boring guy?
Yeah.
We said last episode we finally learned his name now that he's dead, and we've already forgotten.
We've literally forgotten because he's so boring.
I'll know it when I see it. One sec.
Thank God for wikis. Where would we be without them?
It is Konev.
It is Konev?
So is he related to... Because it was also
the other
Konev.
Konev?
No wonder we were getting confused. Boris Konev? Yeah, and Ivan Konev.
What?
I believe Boris, when he was getting dispatched to Alliance Space, was like, I do have a cousin over there or something.
Well, maybe. Oh, okay.
Okay, well that accounts that confusion. Anyway,
this
I've
makes
long
so
since
much more
lost the
sense.
thread of the joke I was going to make about Poplin, talking about how his feelings about
women with self-respect?
Konev's death were in some way analogous to a woman. But that's where I was going with that.
But now it's just become a therapy session.
Yeah.
So these people are all like, yo, we're going to join Merkatz on a
and they're
Robin
gonna
Hood
fake
escapade.
their death.
Yeah. So the idea is no one will know they're there, and
the
they
light
can do
of
some shit.
democracy can be
Forever bright.
well, saved for another day.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we won't see, but we'll see. So they hop on out of the room, and then...
Frederica is like,
Hey, big boy.
hey, I love you so much, Yang Wenli.
And Yang's all like,
I
don't know
failed
how
everyone again.
Yeah, I don't know how to...
Yang Wenli is, of course, the man who always bears the weight of making the hard decisions,
Same.
which are almost always right.
Not all... They're literally always correct.
I mean, this one...
Who knows how it's going to
It's
go.
an ethical quandary.
Yeah. But they both go in for a big smooch, but we don't see the smooch.
We cut to a train going through a tunnel.
Very tasteful. Meanwhile, on Lohengram's vessel...
Reinhardt is ruining the fact that his victory was given to him rather than forcefully seized.
And he disgustedly chuckles about it. He's so hateful. He hates it.
Second episode opens with the narrator... Oh, no, sorry. The first episode closes with the narrator telling us the total losses of the Battle of the Million Star Zone. Imperial Fleet, 87.2 losses, 2% losses.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Casualties totaling 72%.
Okay, that's not bad.
Alliance forces, 81.6% losses. Casualties totaling 73.7%.
Okay, that's not a bad
Both
number.
sides together lost 2.5 million men.
Ooh. That's not a small number. That was 6 days of fighting. If that,
12,
actually.
I think.
Okay, 12 days of fighting. 2.5 million deaths.
Second episode opens with the narrator talking about how the Alliance won the battle tactically, but the Empire won the war strategically because of taking over Highness.
Yeah. So it turns out...
And both sides have an inferiority complex over it.
Yeah, so the Alliance won, but the Empire won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our young new group of Robin Hooders are like, so, we're out of here.
Yep, they've gone. They've left the show.
Is there anything you want to know? And they're like, yeah, not really, just have a great time.
And Yang has to go and meet with Reinhardt.
To sign off with this peace treaty on the ceasefire and all that.
Briefly meets Mueller at the entrance, and they're both like, wow, I admire you so much.
And then that's it.
That's it. So, our two boys finally sit side by side and have tea with one another.
Well, opposite each other.
The young Kirkheis surrogate boy brings them the tea and shoots a meaningful glance at Yang, and I was like, is he going to poison him? But it didn't happen.
No, apparently.
Because there was also a shot later where Yang like visibly hesitated before drinking his tea.
Maybe he never drank the tea.
Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe the boy was like, I poisoned so much of that tea and now it's gone.
But also, to be fair, as we're probably going to get stuck into for the next few minutes, they have a very long conversation.
They talk philosophy.
But in the analogy of tea and water. So I can't not hear that without thinking of the other meaning of tea.
Sure, spill that tea, girl.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're just like, well, maybe you shouldn't have drank the tea. Sips tea. And it's like, But basically they're going like, hey, don't you think that maybe a dictatorship is better than a democracy?
No.
And Yang's like, only when the dictator's good. And Longgrab's like, but I am good. And he's like, well, you see, fundamental misunderstanding. You own all the problems and all the victories, not the people own all the problems and the victories.
And the people project the problems onto you and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and it's this whole thing. So
the show has been over this stuff ad nauseum.
It's a thesis statement made conversation, but with analogies.
But it's also game recognized game.
Yeah, and I don't know how to emphasize this enough. They talk about tea and water so much. So, like, literally.
Yang talks about how he can't join Reinhardt as offered because he didn't grow up drinking the water of the Empire. And metaphorically, you get sick when you drink water that isn't meant for you.
Well, maybe a quick spritz of tea will help with that. Maybe you shouldn't drink the tea.
But I like the taste of that water. Sups up.
Like whiskey.
I sip and I sup on that water. Water everywhere. And not a drop to sup.
But let's all take a drink for now and see what is up. My name's Nick B, and I'm here to say...
I drink water every day. Stay hydrated, kids.
Bam! Get in it.
Oh, we have fun.
Yeah. Neither of us laughed throughout any of that.
Nick, I haven't laughed in years.
Oh, God. So they have it's just a long thesis about that. I'm just
skipping through my photo notes. We don't need to keep saying they're talking about it because
so they're talking about this stuff,
and they're talking about the stuff. More importantly,
like the stuff they're talking about.
Ideology and counter ideology.
Yeah, water and tea. You know, and I think at one point Longgraham's like, "Are you telling me to not be a dictator?" And Longgraham's like, "No, wait, that's not it."
Shut up. Yang says this line.
Okay.
Perhaps in this universe there exists a solitary absolute truth. Perhaps it clarifies every question. But that's beyond the reach of these short hands.
Oh, fuck.
Reinhardt says, then my hands are even shorter than yours.
I think when we heard that, I went, anytime anyone tries to... Oh, anytime I want to flex on someone, I'll say, well... My hands are shorter than yours.
Well, I was, of course, reminded of Donald Trump's famous insecurity about his short fingers.
The weird... Yeah. So strange. It's like the Always Sunny thing with the guy who always wanted big hands. So he wears these massive hand gloves.
This sounds like a Tim Robinson bit.
And then when he's in court defending the gang, he's like, my client... And he does the big gesture as a lawyer would do. But his hand comes off, and he just screams like, "No one look! No one look!" as he tries to like get it back on desperately. And it's like, oh god. Oh.
Anywho, the conversation inevitably turns to Kirkheis and how Reinhardt loved him. Yeah. And they made an oath together, and if he was still alive, then Yang would be dead.
He'd be a corpse.
And Reinhardt would have done anything for him, and he would have sacrificed himself for him. But in the end, Kirkheis sacrificed himself for Reinhardt, and we just imagined Reinhardt being like, do you want to see my amulet?
Look at the hair.
I keep it with me always.
Just tapping on the photo.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I know, I met the guy.
You met him? What was he like? So they have a very long conversation about that and like, you know,
and he's going to allow Yang to retire. Yeah. He's not going to punish Bukok, who requested that Bukok receive sole punishment for opposing the Empire, because he doesn't feel the need to take arbitrary vengeance.
Yeah, because he wanted Yang to join But obviously...
He wants to make him fleet commander, but Yang's ideals don't allow him to accept that offer.
And that's why he can't drink the water.
Yeah, he's drinking the water!
So he's like, no, I'm going to go retire. He's like, all right, you can go retire, whatever.
Yeah, and the Imperial fleet lands on Heinessen in the rain, and there's a bit of banter about establishing like a puppet government, essentially. Banter.
A lot of people are like, Sieg Kaiser.
Yeah.
Sieg Kaiser Lohengram.
There is a good scene where they're talking about just administrative matters with between Reinhardt and Hildegard. And as she's leaving, he stops and is like, I know you saved my life, but I can't thank you for that yet because of my warrior's pride, but hopefully one day I will. And she's like, I understand.
Yeah.
And they come to terms about that.
In the briefest conceivable way.
Oberstein is scheming and plotting up a bit. I really like Yang's
vest? Jumper
in this
cardigan?
One scene as he and... Okay.
We're jumping.
Yulian and Mashenko are unpacking boxes in Yang's house. Yang is doing his classic bisexual sitting style.
Why is it so accurate? Why is it... I don't understand how such a phrase can be so accurate. And yet...
And he's wearing a white jumper with a...
fetching white jumper. Thank you very much.
Beige, left side around the shoulder, then down to the hip. And also a red and yellow horizontal stripe across the waist and pocket.
It's very Ferrari.
I would wear it.
I know. You might already own a jumper.
And then Mashenko comes in, and once again, Yang is like, what's that?
Just...
Yang!
My dude, we're in a democracy, but that doesn't mean you can just say things.
And Mashenko is still hanging out with Yulian because he was ordered to protect him and never had that order countermanded.
Yeah, he literally had no new orders, so he was like, well, I guess I don't fight Destiny.
So he's going to go to Earth with Yulian because that's still their plan.
Yep.
We're kind of skipping around now, but there's a scene where Yang and Frederica are shopping for houses because they can't live in officers' quarters now that they're both retiring.
Oh, because they're going to get married.
And he gets a call from Kazelnu being like, both of your retirements and a few of the other main characters have been accepted, but mine hasn't because they need me to work in the transitional administration.
Yeah.
So they talk about how fleets are being decommissioned, blah, blah, blah. So Sherwood is even more important.
Shh, don't say that name. Don't say that's a secret operation.
So when they were shopping for houses, just one thing I want to highlight.
Yeah.
They're looking at this place on Fremont Street on their computer where they've pulled up
Well, Fremont Street's a good place.
What's the map? The map of the plot?
Yeah.
But then also a 3D cube Windows 95 tank mini game.
Yeah.
Lines of the general shape of the house.
Yeah. So that's the blueprints of the house, maybe.
But in the middle here,
yeah,
there's just a 3D rendering of it.
Yes.
Just all
like
lines.
A Tron wireframe kind of.
And they're like, ooh, this place on Fremont Street, huh? The location is good and there's lots of rooms. So when Yulian and the others return, they can live there too. What? He's not your son anymore. He's an adult.
Yeah, but everyone
and he's in love
Yulian.
with your wife.
And no, that's coming from Frederica.
I know.
It's just but everyone loves Yulian. They all want
They
Yulian.
do all love Yulian, but it's not going to be healthy for them to be living there with essentially his stepmom that he's in love with, right?
Well, yeah, you make a good point. But maybe Yulian would be like, yeah, I'll come, absolutely. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Oh, man. Look, it's a plot from a pornography in the making.
I know,
I'm just saying.
Yulian, I'm stuck in the dryer.
Oh no, my stepmom's stuck in the dryer. Mashenko, go get some groceries. Yep.
I don't know. I was thinking places to take that. She couldn't possibly be stuck in the dryer because Yulian does all the chores. Or it's just, whatever. Bailing on that bit.
That's where your mind went.
I don't know. I'm just trying to riff, man.
I was just thinking, if it was a porn plot, it could have gone anywhere.
I'm not talking through a porn plot with you. I'm just trying to banter.
We have very different expectations.
Trunick sells out the Alliance with a shitty treaty and everyone hates him.
Yep.
He asks Reinhardt for imperial citizenship and a place over there so he doesn't just get murdered.
Yep.
And Reinhardt refuses to meet with him but does grant the request.
Yeah. He does a lot of granting of requests. A lot of people are dead or in prison now. And we go through it all with Oberstein being like, there's this guy, he was
Lennenkamp, who is one of the guys Yang owned, is appointed as consul administrator of the Alliance space.
Is there any other important details that aren't just busy work?
Not really.
It's all just, so who's this guy who's going to do this? It should be this guy. Well,
finally, we get to a scene on Terra, aka Earth.
Oh, yes. If there's one place I love, it's Earth.
Quick scene with Boris Konev, who helps Yulian get off
Fazan?
Yeah, meeting with Yang, being like, hey, I sure was nice, but I lost my ship. Got a job for me? And he's like, yeah, take Yulian to Terra. And then we go to Terra.
On Terra.
We go to
in
Terrorism.
Yeah, Terra.
Not terrorism.
Now, whoa. No one's saying that. Okay?
Terrorism religious headquarters, which appears to be, I don't know, Mount Everest or some shit.
Yeah, like the
which is the fucking Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
Head of the religion.
What are you trying to say?
They're in this secret Gothic temple underneath a big mountain.
Yeah.
Where the as yet unseen Earth Cult Bishop in his evil cloak, wearing his fucking Millennium item golden necklace, is like, De Villiers is his name. Reinhardt has conquered the Alliance, my liege. Yes, all is proceeding as planned.
Grand Bishop, what's his name?
He doesn't have a name, he's just the Grand Bishop.
Yeah, he turns around, he's like,
tell
me more.
Darth Sidious looking motherfucker.
He's like, tell me more of your...
Lenenkamp has been appointed to rule over the Empire, and Trunicht has left. That man has served his purpose.
What are the new...
What of Fazan? Have we heard from Rubinsky?
No.
The Black Fox
really.
of Fazan rarely takes the stage. But
his heart is deep.
There was some other
treacherous.
Horrible analogy about that. Let me find it. The depths of that man's heart are profound indeed. Not only is his loyalty suspect, but he may harbor an ambition to move against us. As long as he dances in our palm, we don't care what kind of jig he dances. But he does rarely take the stage and prefers to play the fiddle in the shadow of the curtains.
Does he dance while he's playing the fiddle?
Good question. Very Irish.
Oh, so Fazani.
And there is reference to the sick guy that the artistic admiral went to see that time.
The sick guy?
The sick bedridden guy that he went to see.
Oh, the guy in the bed.
Yeah, in Alliance space. Who wants to make some mark before his all too fleeting life ends.
Yep.
Being an Earth Cult asset.
Of course.
So we'll see what happens with that in the hypothetical future.
Mm-hmm.
Dexby's dead. Everyone hails Kaiser Reinhardt. All the nobles do Hitler salutes.
And Lowengram feels like this is all going well, but, if only I had the one thing that mattered to me.
He's standing before his throne, and he has like a vision of the Sylph and Kirkai standing either side of it, and he starts forward for a moment. But
with his hand out, going like,
just a vision, and they faded.
And then he looks depressed again. Resolute.
Now, surely now that he's the Kaiser, she'll want to hang out with me again. No, she wanted to leave the show, Reinhardt. She didn't want to be around without Kirkais anymore.
Don't you understand? You got everything.
But you lost everything more.
What did you sacrifice?
Kirkais. Everything. Specifically Kirkais.
Very specifically that. Mm-hmm. Although he doesn't look down his amulet. He just looks sad.
He puts his big crown on and sits on his big throne, and everyone loves him. But he's the loneliest man in space.
He doesn't love himself. Like a woman who's lost her self-respect, he's lost his ambition to live.
Yeah, and that is the end of Season 2 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And also the end of what we will be watching for now.
Impressive
and possibly
stuff.
Forever.
Yeah. But we might just be watching it in our free time.
Well, we were talking about this before the show. We might both just watch it along in our own time and, do a start of episode check-in every now and then to see what's going on and what we think.
Oh, man. It's just such a good show.
But it's so slow.
I feel like it's slow in the sense of, like, a bunch of stuff is being talked about. So if you're above the age of, like, 30 or 40, you'll be like, oh, this is very wise and I know everything.
This is a show for people who read books about World War II military campaigns.
Yes, this is a show that is a book that they went, well, no, because this is important. We can't take this away from the book.
But this is like a peak. This is, as far as anime goes, this is like peak Stalingrad history guy.
Yeah. This is the
Mark
one guy.
from Peep Show would be all over this.
This is the one time in history where a show that is emulating any kind of smart discussion has made me go, damn, I should keep watching this. This is pretty good.
So, Nick, what are our highlights and lowlights for these two episodes?
My highlight would probably have to be the Shenkop and Yulian discussion, because it was like very interesting when it's like, hey, what would you do if, Yang was ordered to be killed, and Yulian's like, I wouldn't be in that situation. I only take orders from Yang. And I was like, this is interesting to see, like, At that level, that thing happening, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's a boring one, but I'm taking it, damn it.
My highlight is Hildegard von Mariendorf operating behind the scenes to secure ultimate victory. Because I enjoy that she is this civilian administrator that's come along with the war fleet. She hasn't really had a place in it beyond like acting as a mouthpiece for Reinhardt's conscience.
Yep.
And then her perspective, which is not unlike Yang's, ultimately seeking the most peaceful solution, ends up being what secures his victory.
Which is like, oh, we'd love to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lowlights. A lot of people just gotten rid of off screen.
Honorary mention to Walter Island's head exploding from stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting so fucking destroyed by the stress of, oh no, men with guns. A lot of people dying off screen with Oberstein just recounting it as his completely muted voice. Not muted, what's the word? Monotone voice is like, so we could get this guy, but he actually isn't anymore, and then this guy who's doing
leader of the Empire in Exile killed himself, as people in this show do.
Yeah. All of this stuff going down with Oberstein being like, what about this guy? I bet this guy is really into
Oberstein, what an enigmatic character.
Yeah, surely he wouldn't try to take over the universe.
Yeah. I feel like as much as he is schema coded, he's ultimately loyal to Reinhardt.
I mean, he hasn't done anything wrong except for some moral bombing of civilians.
That was pretty wrong.
Nothing evil though, surely.
My low light is
seeing Trunicht on screen.
We hate Trunicht.
Having to see him makes me sick to my stomach.
Look, honestly, as much as I think it's hilarious and I love to see it whenever they show up, I think my low light is this whole Earth cult stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it's been this force in the background so far, but hasn't really
done shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there.
So it's stacking a lot of cards that really could or could not pay off, and I'm not...
You're not confident that it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be like...
are we going to resolve this political conflict by just presenting an unambiguous evil for them to unite against?
Yeah, which would suck, because then they'd be like, what do we call ourselves now?
It strips out the complexity of the dilemma that we've been exploring for 52 episodes so far.
The alternative to that is the Grand Bishop makes his move only for Lowengram to walk up and shoot him in the head.
I want the Grand Bishop to go full Resident Evil villain and like inject himself with a vial of mutagen, being like, now I shall transcend earthly humanity, Lowengram.
Do you see the power of Earth? Crushes building.
Yeah. Yes. And then they have to, do sick combos to him.
Oh, yes.
Turns into an entirely different show.
The entire last season is just against him. And it's like, somehow they just keep losing. They don't know how. They don't know why, but they just keep losing.
Well, that segues, I think, quite neatly into our question of what will happen next time. Obviously, there is still half of this show remaining, and I don't want to spend 20 minutes going through all of our possible theories about what happened. So I think let's each just pick one thing for the Empire, what was formerly Alliance, Space and Factions, and Earth Cult and / Fazan stuff, and predict where that could all go.
I reckon Fazan will remain, just in the background. But Rubinsky this whole time has been like, then we'll make our move. But it's never going to come. It's going to fail for him, and he'll be like, no, but I planned it all out. Don't you get it? I was Machiavellian.
I'm Adrian Rubinsky.
And then someone will be like, but you rarely take to the stage, old man.
Blam, blam, blam.
Yeah. So I reckon Fazan's going to, go into the background. The Empire, Lowengram, I reckon, is going to have one of those slow and steady descents, not into madness, but just into like depressive.
He's going to withdraw from public life because he's won all of his battles and he has nothing else to do.
And Mariendorf.
And I think as a result, your Ruentals and your Obersteins will start to squabble for petty power amongst themselves.
Exactly. They'll be like, well, he's effectively the leader, but who's really calling the shots?
And I think parallel to that, and this is my alliance prediction, is we will see the Sherwood forces starting as like united, purposeful guerrilla warfare, democratic freedom fighter stuff, but then gradually over time that mission becomes a bit more murkier as they have to do. We know that Dusty ends up dressed like a big old space pirate for some reason, and gradually they just become marauding pirates.
Yeah. So the alliance
and things of that nature.
The alliance storyline is Animorphs in that by the end they're like, so we can win, but.
And they've got to call back Yang for one last job.
Yeah, and Yang will be like, but I don't want to do it.
Got a moustache now.
Hey, It's me, Yang Wenali, huh? Come on.
And the Earth Cult?
I genuinely think that
They're gonna do a terrorism with the sick guy or something? No pun intended with terrorism.
I can't get over terrorism. It's like, why? I reckon
they're gonna do like a chemical weapon attack on the Empire to undermine Reinhardt's rule or something. Julian's gonna go to Terra and find the Earth Cult and be like, no, there's a bigger threat to humanity than the Empire.
I think probably what's going to happen is that the Earth Cult will start doing something only to be destroyed single-handedly.
In single combat by Reinhard von Lohengraf.
Yeah, basically, it's like Reinhardt will see renewed purpose in a threat of them, but then handily take them down, which will allow all the smaller players like more opportunities to like...
Yeah, and Alexander wept, for there are no more Earth Cults to conquer.
Yeah, and all of them will probably like... destroy each other in the process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But history marches on.
Just like me.
So, Nick, what
Yes.
are our... This brings us to the end of Legend of Galactic Heroes.
Well, where's my gun? I need to shoot myself in the...
What do we think of this show that we've watched over the past year?
I genuinely think it's one of the best shows I've ever watched, but holy fucking shit, it is not easy to sit down and be like, I'm just going to casually watch a few episodes of Legend of Galactic. It's like
you really got to pay attention to it because of the sprawling cast and the
wide
philosophical conversations.
It goes so deep with so much going on. And the thing I like is that in most shows, they'd go, oh, what do you think about this thing? He's like, I disagree. And then you'd move on because you want things to keep happening. In this show...
They explain their philosophy.
They explain, possibly too much, why they think the way they do.
The geopolitical implications of it.
And why they think that's the right thing to think. And like why any of it matters in any relevant way to a authority or a state or to a person. And you're just like, whoo, this is a lot of info. Then juxtaposed with people like Poplin being like, I'm going to shoot these motherfuckers in the head.
And then go home and fuck some women.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed doing this show as well. I do wonder if doing 2 seasons of it was potentially a mistake. But I also think it's a shame that, I think I said this to you before we started recording, it looks like season 3 is potentially going to go back to some more of that stuff that I enjoyed more about season 1 than season 2, where it's more sort of...
internal.
Yeah. But I feel like next to Utena, this is the show that our podcast, method or... structure of watching and recording has most struggled with, which is that Nick comes over to my house, we watch 2 episodes of the show, and we immediately get into record with our fresh impressions. Yeah. So obviously, that was a challenge with Utena because of all the oblique symbolism, or sometimes blatant symbolism there informing the events that...
We would look at it and just
sometimes it's helpful to sit on and digest, and like we would record, then that afternoon I was be like, oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, with the sheer scope of it all, and all the side characters to keep track of, and...
Yeah, doing it once a fortnight is...
challenging. There were so many times where it was like, oh, there's that one guy, what's his name again? Yeah. He was like in 5 episodes ago in one scene and he got his nameplate on the screen.
I just love, even like, when we first started watching it, we were so invested in being like, this is some dumb operatic bullshit.
And it was.
And it was.
But
and it never let up. It never lets up. Also just love the fact that it must know how over the top it is. Like, even, it has all the trappings of both opera and anime. Where it's like, anime's already over the top. Opera, more over the top. Just make it so over the top that, like, we can't help ourselves, you know?
It's true, we truly can't.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of our...
Is there nothing else we have on the list?
Discussion.
Loge.
God,
that would have been such a better thing to say every episode. It's like, welcome to our Loge discussion.
Stay Logian, baby.
Stay Logian.
So, yes, we've decided on our next program for JoJo's World.
Everyone's going to be disappointed, but I'm not.
It's a classic Nick show, one that I haven't seen before, inverting our traditional formula.
We have discussed it in the past at length for a Patreon episode once.
And also just something you bring up.
Every single day. Yep.
And it's one of the 2 shows we mentioned last episode.
Yay!
It is, of course, Trigun, the man with 3 guns.
But he doesn't have 3 guns. Or does he?
We talked about doing Golden Kamuy. That was probably the front runner initially. Then we found out it has 49 episodes with another season still coming. And we want something a bit more digestible at the moment.
Yeah, something that I can go, yeah, no, I already own this and I can just bring it. It's fine.
Yep, this is a nice, meaty 26 episodes,
Something like that.
give or take.
24, 26,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
So we will do that 2 episodes at a time unless we discover that doesn't work. But given what we've just been through, I can't imagine that won't be the case.
If we can do Legend of the Galactic Heroes,
Yeah, we can do anything.
we can do fucking anything. Except maybe the next 2 seasons of Legend of Galactic Heroes. Oh, God, I might actually just go home and watch it all. It's so good. Oh. But
So I'm excited to see the Trigun.
Yep,
I'm
you'll
excited to
understand.
see Vash the Stampede and Nicholas J. Wolfwood.
Yep.
And Millie and Billy, the insurance
Sorry?
billionaires.
Sorry? Huh?
And of course, Knives Vermilion.
What? Huh? What?
And of course, those damn little tomatoes.
Do you know anything about Trigun other than he's the man with 3 guns?
He's got the $7 billion double dollar bounty or whatever.
Close enough.
But he's a pacifist. But everywhere he goes, things are destroyed.
Yep. Do you know why?
No,
Okay. Gotcha.
because he's a Hokuto no Shinken,
What is that?
Fist of the North Star guy.
Uh,
He's Cowboy B-Boy.
yeah. Keep going. Keep trying.
He's if you put Cowboy B-Boy in a blender with,
Rurouni Kenshin.
I was going to say, Alucard from Helsing. In terms of visual design.
I mean, not wrong, but also
Big red coat, little red sunglasses.
yeah, okay. not red, but also they are basically the same sunglasses now that you say it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, I can see it now.
Yeah.
No Nazis in this one though.
Good.
Yeah.
That'll be a nice change of pace from this last show then.
Imagine,
Look,
imagine if now we're like, actually we pivoted to Helsing because we wanted to see Nazis get fucking destroyed by vampires.
I meant to bring it up in our overall thoughts discussion, but it has been challenging doing a show that is so involved with political ideologies, seeing the collapse of Western democracy occurring in real time.
Yeah.
Concurrent with the genocide as well.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many things happening in life that when we started watching this, we're like, we should be okay. That like it'll die down after a while. It has not died down. Even now, I was thinking the protests in California are happening as like this massive invasion is going on. Where I was like, are we gonna have to talk about like martial law in this episode? Because I'm getting real scared about things.
So part of the Helsing switch was part of my vision, my path to Steel Ball Run.
Yep.
Because I understand that Trigun is, it's Western adjacent in its, themes and events.
Oh yeah, it's very Western. It's set on a Wild West. So
great, that's what I want.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Something about Helsing.
No.
and the vision.
The vision, yeah. Golden Kamuy is part of the vision because I understand that, I haven't seen it, but I understand that part of the plot of that is like a map or something tattooed on the bodies of serial killers, which for reasons I can't go into has a couple of resonances with Steel Ball Run.
Something like, oh, I have a goal, I have to get to it, here's how I get to the goal, and then you go on the goal.
Well, yeah, the thing about fiction, Nick, is that characters have goals and want to achieve things.
I'm literally trying to think of an example where there's a character who has no goals. And
I know you are, because I know how your brain works.
What about the Big Lebowski?
What about Big the Cat?
A man, when you stare into Big the Cat's eyes, what do you see? I see nothing but
Big the
death.
Cat wants to achieve his friend Froggy, who's been
Shit, he
possessed
does
by
have a
chaos.
goal. Fuck! Oh, there's got to be a character who has no goals. Who's like, oh no, but then having no goals is in of itself a goal. Because you're like, I just want to sit and do nothing, man. Yeah, alas.
Trigun, Golden Kamuy,
Battlestar Galactica.
You shut your goddamn mouth.
You're going to have a stroke by the end of Trigun and be like, you know what? I'll just do part 7 on my own. It's fine.
Cowboy Bebop feels a bit too obvious because it has cowboy in the name, but maybe.
Wasn't there...
But we do want to get away from sci-fi.
Yeah, there was another one that you mentioned when we were talking.
As we all want to do.
Yeah, that I literally, I can't remember at all. But there was one more that I think you mentioned that was like, yeah, maybe this.
Delicious in Dungeon.
Oh, maybe it was Delicious in Dungeon, yeah. Because you were like, that's some good eating.
Fist of the North Star.
Fist of the North Star, yep. But too sci-fi, too post-apocalypse.
Anywho.
Trigun.
We'll find out all about Trigun, the man with 3 guns. 2 in his hands, 1 in his mouth, but not like that.
Same.
Next time.
on this.
On JoJo's World, The Path to Steel Ball Run.
This what is the name of the official arc of the
It's
path?
the path to Steel Ball Run. The road to Steel Ball Run.
The road to Steel
The
Ball
road
Run?
to the run.
The road to run.
Pedal to the metal. The road to the run.
We're doing it.
But until then, to
be continued.